Okay. Um,
You
I'm
tired?
tired. Yeah, I am. I'm struggling to adjust. It's it's not so bad when it's 8 hour shifts, right?
Mhm.
That's actually I kind of like it. But when it's 11 hour shifts and 12 hour shifts, I'm dying. Like just dying and so much time on feet. Like
Oh, yeah.
I was supposed to I was gonna run today and I'm just like no, like my ankle's sore, it's just no, the body says take a day.
Yeah. Put your legs up a wall. This could be a good time to try an ice bath.
Oh God. Sell your witchcraft somewhere else. Let's do the thing. Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and with me, as always, is our reasonably well rested racer, Bethany McChesney. Kind of mailing that one in a little bit.
Yeah. You can use that for now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm really tired. Switch to night shift. It has been it's been tricky. It's been tricky. But when it's eight, it's actually great for training. It's fantastic because I get home, I go to sleep right away, and then I wake up. I got tons of time to work out, and then I go back and I take a little nap, and I get up and I eat and I go to work. So when it's like that, it's great. But when the hours are longer because my commute is quite a lot too, it's it's rough. It's rough, and I'm like on my feet putting in like last night I put in 20,000 steps.
Oh, wow.
Just on my feet nonstop the whole time, pretty much walking back and forth all over the place, climbing up and down ladders and stairs and stuff. And this is stuff I'm used to, but normally it's just you get a little more of a break, right? You might be in one spot for a while, even lying down, kind of doing some work on the ground or whatever. But no, I'm just constantly shuffling along all night. So
Yeah. I have a sympathy for shift workers. I've never really had to do that, but
yeah, well, it's not often too, right, that I have to do it. This seems kind of like once a year.
Mhm.
I don't know. I gotta become like a gypsy or something and just sell what I find on the side of the road, and then I don't have to worry about work.
Yeah, like that the eBay marketers where they garage sale and then sell things on eBay.
Oh, that sounds horrible too.
I know.
All right, how's your training going though? Because you just started up with your fabulous prize you won of training with Rylan Shadeg, which is
Yeah.
really cool. How's it going?
Yeah, I it was such good timing for me because I was a bit in a lull as far as like my motivation. There was a bit of a gap between races and like just trying to find a good balance of training for all the different things right now. So I was a little bit in a blah phase of my
Yeah.
training. So yeah, so I am being trained by Rylan Shadig right now. So I won his little Instagram contest thing and I was anticipating it being difficult, but it's it's to me the like there's I think there's not many things it's not like anyone has anything that we've never seen before, but for me it made me do more of the things that I don't want to do. It's a fair amount of volume, and I haven't done this much volume in a while. And he really likes to stack hard days. Like hard days are hard, uh, and hard days are often two like a double day, two hard workouts. And it's again, those are the kind of things that we usually don't make ourselves do unless we're really accustomed to training that way. And yeah, so it's made me do the extra and a lot more machine work. And he does a lot of his all of his strength training is done under stress. So today I had 12 by 400 and then right into the gym for a strength session. So like your knees are like you're still shaking, and then you're doing like trying to do split squats and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of how he does a lot of his strength stuff. So again, that's a bit of a shift for me. It's been tough, but I've really enjoyed it. I think it's a good thing too for people to realize like coaches coaches have coaches. So even if, and there's so many reasons to have a coach, even if you are a coach, and I program for people and I run a gym and that's my job, but it's so nice having other eyes on my training and just getting someone else to make me do the things that really suck. Because I would still more likely go out for another easy run than go out and hammer 12 by 400 meters. So when someone else writes it for you, you're much more likely to do it. So if anyone's kind of on the fence about getting a coach, and there's many of them now in the hybrid racing, obstacle course racing world. And just kind of what I would think is pick someone who maybe has a similar lifestyle to you, or they kind of, you can, a lot of them even post a lot of their training on social media, and find someone who their training kind of resonates with how you like to do things. Um, and yeah, just give them a try for a little bit. And the other thing is you're supporting your athletes. So a lot of these athletes are trying to make a living um, as an athlete, and their coaching is kind of what's helping them pay their way. So give it a try. And a lot of them are really easily available to send messages to, and good communication with their program. So yeah, so I'm about 10 days into Ryland's program and things are holding up. I'm actually feeling really good. So I was a bit nervous about how my well used, well worn body would hold up, but it's been good. So mhm.
So I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to start, and when you talk about a lot of coaches, there's so many good ones out there. I mean, like just to list a few, if you like, when you got Rich Ryan and Meg Jacoby working together.
Yeah,
You've got Ryan Atkins Knox training thing going on. You got a John Albin app going on. You've got Ryan Kent doing
yeah.
online training. You've got Dave Magida has just launched his online training. Um, the Running Public, Bracken Crocker and Kirk DeWint. And if you want some endurance stuff, you check out Allison Ty. I still say there is no better ultra OCR person than Allison Ty for training. Hi, Allison.
Hmm.
Um, and me, I am going to start off with Tara Jackson
Nice. Yeah.
because, again, she does a lot of stuff that I don't do that I probably should do.
Hmm.
And it's exactly like you say. I know that she's going to put in things that I don't put in for myself. And I know it. I know it should be there. I know I should do it. And I don't. And it's just that accountability. And the other thing, you might think you know what you're doing, and you might. But there's always that aspect, and it's not just with training, but with anything else. You don't know what you don't know,
Hmm.
right? So you think, well, what are they going to possibly help me with? I know all the training for this and that and that. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't, because you don't know what you don't know. And you
Hmm.
learn something at work. So that's the other thing. And I think Tara just wants me to be fast enough to, keep up with her from when we do our relay. So that's probably more part behind it. But yeah, this one.
Yeah, that's smart on her part.
Yeah, exactly. And she doesn't want me to embarrass her. So So yeah, I'm excited too. But same as you, nervous because I'm like, oh, I know I'm going to be doing these things like these little rubber band movements that are gonna make me scream in pain and go, ow, I don't like that.
And sometimes it's all the little things too. And that's what Ryland's program does a really good job of also, is like the pre-run mobility, the post-run decompression, he calls it, and really detailed in that regard too. And that's kind of the stuff that it makes a big difference in the long run with, especially with your durability and like not breaking down from all the workouts. So that's the kind of stuff too that when you have a coach with eyes on what you're doing, those are the things that we get done a little bit more, like the accessory stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I need it, especially for me as a getting older, and I am of poor mobility, especially in ankles and knees,
Mhm.
and so that stuff, we're gonna work on it and keep it going. Um, I do, and so I don't know. Many coaches, we do this when we coach people and when other people coach people, you have that like initial talk where you're like, what's your goals? What's your weakness? What's your that? It's like, you almost feel like hiding things.
It's like
Don't,
a job interview.
don't. What's your weakest thing? Well, I work too hard. No, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Don't hide. Be honest. Tell them the truth. Um, because yeah, like my mobility throughout the ankles and knees is pathetic. It's terrible. Like I can squat deep, but I have to take that wide stance. I do not have that ankle mobility, especially. And so I'm gonna work through some of that stuff and keep going. I am. So, like I said, Tara and I, we're gonna have to talk tomorrow to start setting things up. And I'm nervous because I think of myself as being fairly focused on what I want to do as in my goals for races and whatnot. But then I started looking at them like, no, it's still too much. Like it's still all over the map. There's still too many things. And
Yeah.
it's hard to cook because so obviously I want to qualify for age group Deka Strong and Mile, which right now I just got bumped into 13th place on the Deka Strong and Age, literally by
Oh,
one second. So
mhm.
um I have a couple more shots coming up, but I know that it is in me, even the way I am trained right now, that I should be able to go another 30 seconds faster. So I'm not terribly worried about it, but it will still require big effort. So the mile, I'm still hanging around at 11th right now, which is a bit of a surprise because I have way more room to grow on the mile than I do in the strong.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
So there's that. Then I am officially registered for the Spartan Elite 3K series.
Nice. Good.
I'm gonna make two of the events, so I probably will not count for because I think you got to make three out of the four. I'm gonna make
Mhm.
two. I don't think I can do the third because I'll still be on this massive amount of overtime for that one. But I am excited to give it a try and looking forward to doing that. So there's those, and then there's the Deka Relay stuff. Um, you and I were still sitting pretty good in that one. I think
Yeah.
we've got a good shot with that, and then Jeff and I hopefully will qualify in August to run that one. So there's still a lot of variants. I also do the RX1. We're excited about RX1. I'm not going to put that as an A race, but it's still a
Yeah.
thing to be prepared for. And that one is different than at least the other ones because most of the other ones are like 20 minutes and under.
Hmm.
RX1 is like an hour to an hour and 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I more figure with that, I'm just going to slog my way through it and hope for the best because I'm not gonna try to put a ton into it, right?
Yeah, I kind of talked to Rylan about that too, and we're going to use it more as like a really good training
Exactly.
session. Just because with RX1 also there's so many more skill-based movements that I mean to get really good at that, it would really shift my training. So we're gonna like I do a lot of it, but I'm not super focusing on it. So it's going to be a really good workout in our schedule.
Let's be honest, it's the barbell.
Yeah, the barbell.
And I still
Yeah.
have it, and I've said it many times. Take that barbell away from RX1, and it would be my favorite thing in the world.
Hmm. Well, and some of the gymnastic stuff too, like
A
the
little bit,
handstand
yeah.
push-ups and like, toes to bar, which we do it, but I mean, I can't string together 50 of them like some of the girls that train at CrossFit gyms. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I'm the same with those two. And my handstand push-ups are actually not too bad. I'm doing okay with those.
mhm.
Double unders as well, where neither one of
Yeah,
us are very good at
yeah.
those. But again, I can slug my way through it. So I'm not going to be too. I'm treating RX1 as well as just a training through hard ass, hard effort training day, and we'll go from there.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm excited for that, and that's coming up real soon.
Yeah.
Um, we didn't, and I meant to talk about this last episode. We didn't talk about Platinum Rig, did we?
We did not. No.
All right,
We
that
made a
was my
quick post about it, but you should probably talk about it.
okay. So for those of you who don't know, Platinum Rig back in I think it was 2019
Yeah.
did a 24-hour team race, which I took part in. Um, and essentially, so what it was on 400-meter track, and they had set up like 40 obstacles. And you would go 400 meters one way through the obstacles and then back the other way through a different set of obstacles. So they kind of had cut the track into two sections. And then you had four people on your team. and you could go out and do like two loops or one loop and trade off, and it was mandatory completion. So every obstacle had to be completed. If you had someone couldn't complete it, they had to run back to the start, tag somebody else in, and they would have to go and finish the lap. Um, it was absolutely fantastic. It was really well done. Everybody had a great time. The only negative reviews we heard about the whole thing were they needed more porta potties, and that was absolutely true. They definitely needed more porta potties. It was not a good scene for that. But luckily, it was in town, and you could sneak across to the 24-hour grocery store if you needed to.
Oh,
So, mind you, having a 24-hour grocery store right beside an endurance event, fantastic positioning. That was great.
that's true.
Yeah, so it was a really good event. It was, eh, like I said, really well received. The obstacles when they first come out with it, everybody was like platinum rig, 24 hours of platinum rigs. Like nobody, we can't do that. We can't survive. But they made the obstacles, I don't want to say downgraded, but properly fitted for the duration of time. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. We had a blast. There were some really good teams, some really great times, and it was a big success. And then they were all set to host two more in 2020. They were going to host another one here in Canada, and then what they were calling World Championship one, and I believe that was going to be in New York City. And we're all excited. Lots of signups. Everybody's ready to go. COVID shoots us all in the foot. So they had to postpone this and that, and we're in 2023. And perfectly honest, I've been getting a lot of messages for a long time saying, what's going on with this? Because I had very much, been an ambassador and sung the virtues of this event. And so, yeah, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And I would ask what's going on. And then finally, just recently, they have decided, you know what? We're just not going to be able to make it happen. So they have finally called it, thrown in the towel, called it quits. And not the platinum ring is gone, but just that this particular event is not going to happen for the foreseeable future. Um, so that is really a bit of a downer. They have said they are going to fully refund everybody who had signed up, and kudos to them because I'm sure that's not going to be easy considering how COVID was for everything. So,
Yeah.
so they are refunding your money. If you haven't heard from them, don't worry, you will be. This is going to be a bit of a process. It'll take them some time, and they're going to probably do direct deposits to refund your money. So, yeah, hang in there, and really disappointed. I think that the biggest takeaway, and here's the thing, I'm out some money to them. I will get refunded, but I'm close to $1,200 worth of entry fees that I'm owed, and I would still gladly give it up if they would just host the damn event because it was so good. It was definitely within my top three of my favorite OCR events of all time.
It's the team thing too, right?
Yes, it is, and I mean the it was so cool because you were on that track. And for example, I was on a team with my wife and my now wife and my son. And while they were going doing their laps, you could be almost right with them on the inside of the track. You could coach them through obstacles. You could see them the whole time. It was for a 24-hour event, it moved super fast.
Yeah.
Like, because you'd be out there for, say, a 7 to 12 minute lap, and then someone else is going. You were
Hmm.
moving quick, and the obstacles were good. And then they would constantly switch obstacles in and out of play so that the course was differing all the time. It was really, really well done. And even the timing system was the most simplistic system, yet it worked so well. There was this giant dry erase board with all the team names on it. And every time you did a lap, there was a great big clock. You'd come in and you'd write down the lap time, your lap, when you finished the lap, and initial. And then the next person would go and write down the lap and initial. And it was just so simplistic.
Hmm.
And, there was no fancy timing mats, no anything like that. It was great. And I never saw any, and I look for this, no cheating
Hmm.
because everybody was there watching you. Like
Yeah.
there was no way to skirt a system because you were constantly being watched.
No one's out in the back bush by themselves anywhere.
No, no. Anytime you were on an obstacle, somebody was there watching you. Even
Hmm.
if it wasn't a volunteer, it might have been another racer. It was just really well done. Honestly, I so hope they do it again. And I mean, I've talked to Dom. I said, dude, don't give up. Please do this again. Like, set it up. It will be a great event. And if they don't do it, for God's sake, somebody who's got a bunch of rigs, Savage, um, whoever like has the obstacles, the rigs set up. I mean, just it was a great idea and it worked very, very well. And if you've already owned the rigs, it's not an expensive setup because you
Hmm.
just find like a horse training track. Let it find a high school that'll give you the thing maybe Saturday in the morning through to Sunday. It
Yeah.
would be amazing. It was amazing. Really, really disappointed. But thank you to Platinum Ring for finally. And you know what? Yes, I was cranky. A lot of people were cranky. This has taken a long time. They should have been better with the communication. But I'm going to go with better late than never on this, and
Hmm.
move on. So yeah, and I'm disappointed you didn't get to try it because you would have loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have. And I mean, I've never done anything that long, but I love the team stuff.
Team stuff is so much better. I was thinking about this too with like last year Spartan in Dubai. They did the team 3K.
Hmm.
We should do that now. Like again, if I'm a sponsor and I could sponsor like three people on a team and put them in
Yeah.
against the other teams, it'd be very exciting. I'd be all for that. I mean, I'm still looking
Hmm.
forward to doing what I'm gonna do. With the 1K, I like the 1K qualifiers, and then hopefully
Hmm.
3K one. And yeah, the other day, I guess it was last Saturday, I did in my garage gym with all my obstacles. I did a 1K with 10 obstacles. Well, actually, it was 1 mile because it's really hard to set up on a treadmill to do the 1K. And it was if I open the garage door to run outside, it blocks a lot of my obstacles. So I did, I did a 1 mile instead of 1K, and did that really hard effort, and then waited 30 minutes, did another one, waited 30 minutes, and then did a 2 mile one, so like a little more than the 3K. It was
Oh, that's a good
great.
idea.
I had a
Yeah.
blast. It was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So I don't want to say RIP Platinum Rig because they're still around and they may still come back. And as well, Dead End Race is involved with that. By the way, Dead End Race does have a 3K going on, but I think it's more. I don't think it's as intense. I think they're
Hmm.
kind of deemed the obstacle situation to beginners, but I might still do it anyway. I might still go just for a good workout and just support, Canadian brands.
Yeah.
Whatnot. And they're still at Nord 45. Course Extreme as well. Course Extreme has a 3K out there, which same place and probably a little
Yeah.
bit different obstacles. So I'm going to look at that stuff. It'll all depend on timing and everything. Um, do you hear about Tough Mudder or WTM's new thing?
No, I don't
So
think so.
so WTM, one of the biggest complaints I've had about it, and you've heard me go on, is that the goofy penalty stuff, right? Like
Okay, I've seen little clips of this then. They're changing this penalty system. Yeah.
yeah, so apparently they're going to give you like I don't know how a bunch of and this is why I want to talk to you about it because I want to see what you think about it as an idea on a merit on its own. They're going to give you like a bunch of bands put on your arm, and then every time you can't do an obstacle, they take away a band, and then when you get back to the main pit area, the penalties will be set up there, and you'll have to do all the penalties for the obstacles you missed before you go out on your next lap.
Hmm.
All right. So I want to know what do you think about that system?
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Like, because then you have more eyes on the people doing the penalties. And when we talk about like the volunteers, sometimes not always using their voice or catching like proper form and stuff, I think that makes sense.
So Shale Hill did this too. Did a similar
Hmm.
style, and it worked for them for their big events. It worked for them, and I kind of like it. Is there potential to do things crookedly? Yes, there is. There always is.
Hmm.
In an event like that, it's going to be really hard to completely eliminate any kind of shady shenanigans. But I think it's a good idea. I think it's a step in the right direction too, because they're looking to promote this as well as like a real world championship, and they're giving away money and stuff. And I think you need to have a good system for that. And I think this is at least a step in the right direction. I don't know what kind of penalties they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to be goofy or if they're going to be proper, or what they're going to be.
Yeah. I mean, as long as it's not like 30 burpees for every missed obstacle and then like Spartan did.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
People are coming back and doing like 90 burpees a lap.
No, no, hopefully it's a little bit different than that. But I think it's good. I think we'll see. It'll definitely change the game though, because if the penalties are, like, say, more fatiguing or more legit, and then you're stacking them two or three per lap, one on top of the other at the same time. Like, for example, let's say it was like a 30 burpee effort, not 30 burpees, but that kind of effort, and you miss three obstacles. So then you're doing three times that effort at the end of your lap. It's
Yeah. And I mean, if I mean, the long races aren't typically as close, but you have seen these battles. So you
mhm.
also might not even know when you're coming in to that finishing area if your partner, or sorry, the person that you're racing has to do three or four penalties worth and you don't. And, there's an interesting battle that can come in there too.
Yeah,
Just not really knowing where your competitors are at.
I do hope though that it doesn't come down to two guys doing spinny bats against each other at the end.
Yeah.
That
Well,
would be
if they're
disappointing.
working in the direction of making it more legitimate, then maybe those types of things won't be the penalties.
It would be funny. I'll give them that. That would be funny. That would be too funny
Uh,
actually. Um, yeah. Oh, and we forgot to mention when we were talking about the 3K. It kicks off. The Elite Series kicks off this weekend in moves in Florida and West Palm.
mhm.
I could be wrong on that. I could be having a tired brain and mixing up cities, but I do. That does kick off this weekend and exciting. It seems like there is some good talent going down there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. The start lists look pretty good.
yeah. Who do you got on that list? Who do you know about that's going?
I just saw it. So we had, and this is just off the top of my head from a week ago. There was, I know VJ was going. Ryan Kempson was going to go
Mhm.
contest the 3K, and then on the women's side there was Ashley Heller. I could probably pull it up here again, what I saw.
I haven't seen Amy Pagic's name on the list. I was kind of hoping she'd jump into
Oh
that.
yeah.
I know she, like I said, she might not be as fleet of foot, but I think she could do well. And it's all
She's
again
so good
these
at
3Ks though. They're all going to be again. It's going to be horses for courses. It's going to be depends on what obstacles thrown in, what the setup's like. Like it could be 500 meters up the hill, 500 meters down the hill, right? Like it really
Yeah,
will
well,
depend.
and even if they're gonna use like heavy carries and how long those are gonna be and how heavy they're gonna be and
Yeah. Yeah. I think
yeah,
so it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. And again, the big deal is like get qualified and get invited out for Dubai because that's where some huge prize money is.
yeah. I know Sean Stevens from Canada was gonna go down.
He
Mhm.
should. I think that people will not. They don't be surprised if Sean blows some people out of the water because that guy can obstacle.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And I mean, if there's climbing involved, he just won the CN Tower race again.
isn't that really just his race? Like it you know, like isn't that is you just kind of staple it as the Sean Stevens whale race?
Yeah, yeah. He's
Pretty
the
much.
world record holder.
Yeah, yeah. You ever done that one?
No, and I considered doing it this year, but then there's just I don't know. I just can't do everything that I want to do all the time. And
I
it's
just
like going to Toronto for like a 10-minute race.
I don't want to park down there. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to go down there to find parking. It's just such a. I mean, Toronto's a great city, but it's a pain in the ass and it's expensive. And
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, I think we look at it different. Like when we went to Chicago, we kind of accept everything. Oh yeah, sure, that's all expensive, but we're on this vacay trip thing. When we go to Toronto, we're like, this is stupid.
I know. I know. Well, when you've had to do the Toronto thing so much. But I mean, anytime we're going to Chicago, it's a more significant event than
Yeah, yeah.
running up the CN Tower. Mhm.
Did I was thinking about this when I talked about it earlier with Ryan and I, but when we talked about shagging all these great coaches, we should start doing like a monthly coaches corner segment and have one of these coaches on every month to just talk about their plans and their training and all that crap.
That's a good idea. Or live feeds. Or
Ooh,
the
that would
yeah,
be fun. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We talked about doing that with the Instagram live feed. That's I like that idea.
yeah, we should do that.
Always thinking, always thinking. You know what? We had some really deep stuff we were going to get into, but I don't want to get into that too much today. But I do want to talk about the one thing that I did a while back, where we I consider myself a pretty open-minded dude and all that stuff and non-judgmental and stuff. But I saw a picture on Instagram of a sprinter from the UK, or not a sprinter, sorry, it's a 5K. That really doesn't matter. But she was very, very lean. And I sent you a message, and my first thought was not, oh, she looks horrible. Oh, give her a sandwich or any of that stuff. But my thought was, is this another case of a young girl kind of being, led into an eating disorder by her coaches to try to get her times better? Da, da, da. Because I mean, we've heard from you and from other women so much about how that occurs.
Mhm.
And you set me straight.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know the runner personally, but I followed her for a long time, and I do know that that is just her body, and since she was a kid, and she's got a lot of grief for it. And we kind of got into it a bit because, like, again, I grew up in uh, an era, especially of the track world, where smaller, it was very much promoted. Smaller was faster, and just rampant with eating disorders. And I remember too, when I was in university, there was a couple girls who were just naturally very, very tiny, and they were also very criticized for that as well, and kind of accused of having eating disorder issues. And then I remember even one of their coaches running all these tests on them. And then eventually they're like, well, like your bone density's fine, you're eating enough, all your blood levels check out. And then the one runner that I was talking about specifically, she's gone on to have a very long career in the sport. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest factors in whether you can, and I mean, we'd never really know what's going on inside someone's head, but I mean, there are very tiny people naturally, and it doesn't necessarily indicate whether they have actual eating disorder from a standpoint of what they eat. I mean, again, what goes on in their head might be a different thing, but if they can stand the test of time, and they're putting in a decade of running without the chronic, like, for example, when I was in university, I had 6 stress fractures in a matter of 2 or 3 years. So, I mean, clearly there's an underfueling issue. But if you're going, and the runner from Britain that we were talking about from the UK, she's had a 10-year career with almost no injury. So she's very tiny, but that really is just her body. So I think it was a good conversation that we had too, where you really can't judge someone just by how their body looks, whether they're healthy or not.
No, and this is the thing, right, with that, because I wasn't even trying to negatively judge her or anything
Mhm.
like that, right? I was like keeping my eye open for, something people were doing negatively, right? Like in
Yeah.
sport. And I'm like,
More a concern type
yeah,
of
yeah. But
reaction.
still,
Yeah.
it just shows like even when your motors are in the right spot and you think, that rash um judgment where there's no research, there's no digging done behind it, you still, you can still end up on the wrong side of it. So I just like to say, because I mean, I point out when I see other people do stuff like that, and I just like to throw it on, I'm not perfect, and you
Hmm.
know, I make a mistake there, and I, called something out that wasn't what it was. No, luckily, I didn't go publicly and posting like crazy crap, which
Yeah.
again, that's what you should do. Sit back, think, and look into things before you go publicly making an idiot of yourself.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I thought that was definitely something that should be brought out. That I mean, because I know a lot of people, and I've seen it like with Dylan, right? With our guy Dylan Scott, he gets a lot of flack for being skinny, and people are like, oh, he needs to eat more, he needs to eat more, and that like one, you don't know what the hell you're talking about because that guy eats like mad. Probably
Yeah.
probably eats 3 times the calories that you or I do,
Yeah.
and he
And he is very diligent about making sure he gets enough for
yeah.
his training volume.
Yeah, and his training volume is ludicrous. By the way, Dylan Scott does training as well, and it is not as scary as what he does.
Yeah.
He does have training for real people. Oh,
Yeah.
I have heard people before. I've actually suggested Dylan Scott as a coach to some people, and they're like, not a chance. And I'm like, no, it's he's not. He's not
Well,
thinking
maybe
you're him.
he should be our first coach's corner.
I think we should, yeah. And we haven't talked to Dylan in a long time. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, he oh God, I hope we don't get sued by Don Cherry for calling it Coach's Corner. That could be big trouble.
Yeah. We won't
Yeah,
say
that's
that.
good. That's good. Yeah, so Dylan will not kill you, but yeah, let's talk to we'll get him on and talk to him and let him tell you that he will not kill you. Yeah. So other than that, I mean, there's some other deep topics that you and I want to dive into, but I think we want to wait till we are more prepared for that because that could go long. And
And maybe get some guests who are a bit more into it.
yeah, because there's some stuff going on right now that definitely hits home with us and might be a bit controversial, but what the hell? Screw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so other than that, I'm ready to go. I am excited for Platinum Rig. We do have a lot of deck events coming up in Canada as well. And as we discussed, there are more gyms in Canada now, one in Vancouver, Calgary, York. We got like five in we'll call it kind of, including you, kind of the GTA-ish area.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so lots of events coming up I'm looking forward to. I think my sub 14 is going to be at Farm Girl. We get next Farm Girl going sub 14, put me back in the top
June,
12.
beginning of June.
Yeah, beginning of June. Have you set a time for your next one yet, or
No, I'm looking for a new location, so we'll have to
okay,
talk about that.
for another
Yeah.
mile? We want to do another mile
Yeah.
because even though I actually am in 11th in that one, I I I believe I got like I should be able to shave like 2 minutes off that thing. Like, you know, I'm not
Yeah.
doing it as well as I can, and that one I know I can do better. So awesome. Well, oh, and again, we forgot the episode because I'm tired. Brought to you by Duonamic and their new power grip holds, which are awesome. Um, oh, and designated drinks. But I'm like in the daytime, I don't know why. We talked about this at work the other day. Like I should be able to go to work and I can. I think I might do this one day at
Mhm.
nights and bring like a nice beer mug and a designated and just in like the main room in front of all the bosses, like crack the beer and pour it out and drink it like and just see what kind of flack I get or if anyone even says anything.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, it's like I've opened like an athletic brewing like after a run and had it in the car. And even though I know it's non-alcoholic, it still feels wrong sometimes. I'm afraid of still getting pulled over. Like, I don't know. It's just
Have you ever drank one actually while driving?
I don't think I have
Oh, I
actually.
have, and it's really weird.
And yeah, I think it would still feel wrong.
It's totally weird. You're like, doesn't
I
especially if
know.
you do something like a Heineken 0.0 that the bottle looks or a Corona, they look exactly
Exactly.
like the regular one. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is just a little bit freaky,
Yeah. It just feels wrong.
but yeah. So I thought like I was talking about it with my cousin at work, and I'm like, yeah, I should do that. Just see if anyone says anything or kicks in, and you got to make it like really obvious too, like a proper beer mug and do a good pour.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is still great though. There's nothing better than like when you run a trailer or whatever, or at the end of when you got to drive somewhere and pound that. It's fantastic. It's
Yeah. I
awesome.
love it. Hmm.
All right. Well, you got anything else for today, Beth?
Nope, that's good for now.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again next week.